I say that again. Welcome to Spurs Kings TV. It is Marlon, and you know what time it is. Ange has gone. It's been a bit emotional. Look, you won us the UEFA Cup. Can't lie, you're Europa League. But here we are. Here we are. I'm going to read out the statement from Tottenham Hotspur and what they've put out, and then I'm going to bring on some guests and let's talk about what has just happened. Oh, the statement was as follows. Following our review of performances after significant reflection, the club can announce that Ange Postecoglou has been relieved of his duties. Ange joined us from Celtic in the summer of 2023, which is 2 years to the day, funny enough, if people didn't know, and oversaw a period of change on the pitch and returning us to an attacking brand of football that is traditionally associated with the club, while writing a new chapter in our history by leading us to the UEFA Europa League glory in Bilbao last month, an achievement that will with us forever. We're extremely grateful for Ange for his commitment and contribution during these 2 years, and Ange will always be remembered as only the third manager in our history to deliver the European trophy alongside legendary figures as Bill Nick and Keith Birkinshaw. So that is where we started with all this today. Look, we knew something was up when there was 2 years to the day that he joined and Tottenham hadn't released a statement. Rumours and murmurs came out all week, but here we are. Here we are. So, as always, this show's about you guys. Let me know how you lot are feeling in the chat as well. If any of you want to come on and have your say, please. The link is at the top and it is pinned. We're probably going to go for about an hour. But look, I'll be honest, I don't know how I'm feeling right now. As Callum's put, I guess Marlon and Haz will be happy. I'm not sure how I feel. I'll be completely honest. I'm not sure how I feel at this present moment. I'm a bit, I don't know if I'm gutted or, head over heart at the moment. But anyway, let me see if I can bring on the guest, see if I can remember how to do this because I ain't been in this screen for a while. So let me bring on the first one. Let's see if this works. Replace all scenes. Has
Yeah, it works. Hey, you're right. You're right, mate.
Oh yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Look, I know you. I know. Look, I know you. You're over the bloody moon.
Yeah.
But talk to me. Talk to me because
Yeah.
why? Look. You've been wanting this
Mm.
since what? Last year,
Mm.
last season was it? You've been wanting
Well,
this.
February 2024. That's when I didn't want him here.
Yeah. So come on, explain yourself because you've obviously
Okay,
seen you've seen the trophy.
I actually went to the parade. Actually, so
On
um,
that, so because you
yeah,
know what? To be honest, I haven't spoke to you for a while.
yeah,
How
yeah,
was you
yeah.
feeling after that parade?
Well, I left before the speeches and stuff, so
So did I.
I saw. I actually. You're not seeing my videos, but
Yeah.
I was standing quite near where the bus went past.
Yeah.
So I got like a few loads, like a really, really great video actually of them like going past, and also I stayed at the beginning for the legends and whatever they were talking about it, with Lily King, Sandra, whatever. But I didn't stay for the
Season
presentation
three.
and the ad speech because
Yeah.
me and my mate, he's sometimes in the chats and that, but we were like, we didn't want to we didn't really care what Andrew was going to say, so that's why we left, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So we knew he would say something like, what he said, like his dramatization of stuff and stuff. So that's why we left earlier. I know some people stayed for saw like, Brennan was drunk and whoever else was drunk at Sonny's famous lines in it when
Yeah.
he was like, "I fucking love you guys." But for me, in general, this last season or this season, I don't know how you want to treat it,
Yeah.
but it, for someone who goes every week, it's been painful every week. Apart from like the few cup games we had where we like showed up, basically.
So Man City, Manchester United,
I think,
Europa League.
yeah, basically, because I actually think what cost him his job wasn't you know, I mean, kind of obvious what cost him his job. We were 17th, but if he finished, say, 10th,
Mhm.
maybe, I think that there's more chance they would have kept him because at least it would have been respectable.
So can I
Like
ask
finishing
you? Can I ask
17th
you?
is not,
Yes.
it's
So
not
can I ask you a quick
respectable. It's
question?
not respectable. Yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question? If he, like he said, like because you can clearly see that he saved the. I'm going to call him the five, the famous five. And why I call him the famous five is because it's the defense that's most important to him, and it's the ones that got us to the Europa League final. Say he swapped them out and he had them for the Premier League games. Do you think
Yeah.
we'd have picked up more results along the way? And look how the league table finished. If 3 or 4 wins, and we would have finished 10th.
I don't know. Shall I tell you why? Because he said it himself, and this is why Ange. I just don't know what to believe anymore with him. I mean, that's why I'm glad he's gone. But he said something like, "I can't play my tactics in the Europa League in the Premier League." So for me, it's like, well, you did it once against Brentford away. If it was on purpose, I don't know. And then like we did it away to Villa for about the first 45 minutes. So you can do that way. I don't know why he didn't do any of this stuff. Like, for example, easiest game to go to. We were 2-0 up away to Brighton. Second half, you're going to have that wave. Why not just play the same 10 men behind the ball for 15, 20 minutes? Weather the storm, and then you can come out again. It's like his lack of in-game changing and tweaking, and that's what's cost us. And you forget that we lost with Ipswich and Palace with Van der Ven and Romero, and like basically the whole back five talking about.
That's not the question. That's why I asked you about the 10th question more than saying that we
So
finished in the top 4.
I don't know because
We still lost
what
games
he
with
said
them.
about his tactics. I think still would have lost games with them. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I think anyway. Yeah.
So you're that's where you are at. Okay. So what next?
See, you maybe I don't know if you see the chats, but I'm actually for Thomas Frank, and shall I tell you why? So for me, I think we need to realize who we are. Like as Tottenham, we need to
You've been
realize who
listening
we
to
are.
me. You've been listening to me, have you, this week? Did you hear my last
No,
word on
not
Spurs
really. I
speech?
actually haven't seen any streams. No,
A
I'm
lot,
not
of,
gonna
a
lie. I
lot,
gave up.
a lot of people. Some people still were against me in what I said. But go on, carry on because this is about you. But
Yeah,
it's something similar I
but
said.
also at the same time, with this, I've kind of given up on Levy going anytime soon. So this is why I'm for Frank. So because Frank can work with like a limited budget, he can upskill players. I've seen him adapt systems, back to back three or back five,
But
four at
will
the
it get
back, full
results?
3-3-4.
Will it get? Will it get? No, the reason why I'm asking, will it
Yeah.
get results? Because you're obviously talking about player recruitment straight away. You're talking about player recruitment,
Yeah.
and if we look at his Premier League record, he's lost more than he's won. Okay, so this is the guy. Look, I'm with you. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. To be honest, I don't care who comes in because
We all know. Yeah.
we all know
Yeah.
what's there. But my question
Yeah.
to you is: so you wanted Ange out. What's the remit for Frank if he does come in next season? What will be the realistic target for next year? What do you expect if he comes in tomorrow?
Yeah.
What are you expecting next season? League position and cups, because we're not going to win the Champions League and we're not going to win the league.
No, we're not going to win the Champions League.
So
No.
that's out.
I think we'll get through the first round, whatever the round is called anymore, because it's not the group stage, is it? It's just like
The long league
league
stage,
thing.
yeah, the league
I think
phase.
we'll get through to maybe the round of 16, round of 8, and then we'll get knocked. I think the cups, we'll go probably on an FA Cup run or something. Carling Cup, I don't know, because he might want to test out something. Because that's what they normally do. I
That's
don't
what
know why.
Postecoglou did,
Yeah. And then the league, I think we'll finish in the top 10. And the thing is,
okay. So my question to you, I'm just going to ask you this off the bat because that's the reason why, and that's why I'm asking. Say he finishes in the top 10. Say he finishes 9th or 8th.
8th,
You say he goes on these cup runs and gets out of the league phase. Is that a better season than we've just had?
Overall, yes. Because Ange got knocked out of everything, and we finished 17th. And I know he won this one trophy.
But he did get to the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, the 4th round of the FA Cup, won the Europa League, and finished 17th. But what you've just said there, just if he gets, say he gets to the 6th round of the FA Cup, 4th round of the Carabao Cup because he's testing it out, as you said, gets out the league phase of the Champions League, finishes 9th. Is that a better season?
Oh no! I said he'll get through the league phase, but I meant the next round. I meant the next round afterwards. I don't.
Yeah. So he gets out the league phase, but and then he gets knocked out. No. But is that a more successful season than this one?
in like in
This
like
is the
if you take
question.
everything into consideration,
Yeah.
then yes, because unfortunately we can't. My biggest fear with keeping Ange, also considering how bad things got in the league, is I was here when had Ramos as manager, right? And we finished quite badly in the league. I know we didn't finish 17th, right, which was horrific, but you could see there was a downwards trend in the league form under Ramos, even though we did win the cup. And then obviously we had that summer where we were promised again to get some decent players. We got meh players. We lost Berbatov and Keane or whatever. And then the season started, we got 2 points from 8 games. So my fear is that because the downward trend of the league form is so bad, we'll start next season and we'll have a similar sort of league trend under Ange where we'll start really shit. Oh, sorry, I'll keep swearing. But and then in 10 games, because everyone keeps saying well, not now anymore, but give him 10 games. We're just going to sack him after 10 games. I think if we gave him 10 games,
I
and
don't
then
know.
you'd be in a worse
I
position.
don't know because the reason why I'm asking you the question about what's the remit for next year is, do you not? If he was given a better squad next year, because we're going to be in the Champions League, he cannot go in with that squad in the Champions League. So you're assuming
Oh,
now
no.
that the board and everybody will be asking questions. If he was given a better squad, the squad he was given this season, we can all openly admit was crap. It
But then at
wasn't.
the
It
same
was.
time, he said they were all his. He'd accepted Werner twice, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
come
yeah.
on.
I get that point, but
Like,
what I'm getting at is he out of everything that he's done, he said I
yeah,
win stuff in my second season, and I don't care who we played in the Europa League because some of them teams are who that quarterfinal stage, some of them teams are in the Champions League next year as well. So
at Frankfurt, they're back in, aren't
Frankfurt,
they?
yeah,
Yeah,
Frankfurt are
yeah.
in.
Oh,
Atletico
Bodo.
Bilbao are in. Bodo have to
Yeah.
qualify for it, but they're in. They've got to
Oh,
qualify for it. And was it Olympiacos? Not Olympiacos. Someone else. So I'm looking at the whole group stage. There are certain teams that are
it's
going to be.
probably Olympiacos. It's probably
Yeah.
Olympiacos.
So I'm looking at it going, okay, he still won a trophy. That trophy is important to this season. No matter what people want to do and take the 22 games and the trophy come together. They are intertwined. They are together. So what is the remit for next season for the next manager? So it's obviously we now know it's definitely not trophies.
Mm.
He,
Yeah, I think we need some stability in the league again. That's what I think personally, because my worry is, like I kind of allude to, is the scenario where Ange starts the season and then everyone says give him 10 games,
it's a
yeah,
question.
and then we start absolutely awful, where we
Okay,
ended, which is
so
very plausible, right? Considering we will have a mess of a summer.
yeah,
He'll probably sign some young players, maybe one or two established ones, and then he'll give.
so
He flips off so much. I don't even know what to say. But and
was
then we'll
his
start
first
really
season then?
badly.
Was his first
He'll
season?
start really badly,
Yeah.
and then we'll be like, "Oh, we'll sack after 10 games," and then we'll be in the redknapp position again, like we were a few years ago. This is what
It feels like
my
redneck to me today. I have to admit, the whole sacking feels like a redneck thing. I'm not gonna lie.
because
I'm still not. I'm still up and down with the whole thing. Look, I'm not gonna sit there and say I didn't want him out. I
yeah.
think it was when we played Leicester, I was gone. I was complete. When we played Arsenal, I was literally starting to fall off that fence.
I saw that on your last one in Spurs talking about, weren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, I
Leicester, I was
remember that.
gone. I was gone. But I said I've always determined, and I always said, that he had to take the cups, and I was happy for him to take the Europa League.
Mm.
However, the Europa League happened because I didn't believe him. He won it. He actually won it, and now I'm like, hold on. He's given me one of my best moments in Spurs since probably the League Cup win, and it was
The
I
cup
felt
final. Yeah.
League Cup final when Ramos won it. He's given me a better
Yeah.
moment than George Graham and Terry
I was
Venables.
only 7 years old, so I don't remember that well. I did
See, I
go, but I
remember
don't
them.
remember it.
Yeah. I remember them. Like so
I know
vividly.
Alan Nielsen scored a diving header
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I was there, but I just don't remember.
yeah.
And
I
Bobby
remember it.
Savage was doing madness as
Yeah,
well. Like,
Justin Edinburgh got sent off. I remember the day. I
yeah,
remember I
yeah,
missed
yeah.
the first half because I was playing football in the morning and I had to rush back
Oh,
to go and watch it on TV. I'd never forget it. But I was young. I was young too. I wasn't old. But for me, so my question to you is then: was his first season better than his second? Is that where you want us to be? What he done in his first season?
what?
Because he
Look,
finished
in my dream
fifth.
scenario, right, we finish fifth now because fifth is Champions League, right, or top four,
Well, only for
and
this
we win
season.
a
I don't
trophy.
know if it's. Yeah, I don't know if next season it might not
Dream,
be.
I know, but in a
Yeah.
dream, my dream scenario is finishing top four and winning a trophy, right? Because
But
even if it's
that's
an
never
FA
happened.
Cup,
Yeah, yeah, but okay, that's never happened under Spurs.
But I don't think it's going to happen under Ange either. So,
No.
but what I'm
But
trying to say is,
But this is what I'm saying.
yeah,
If you want the trophy, you're going to have to accept. In Spurs' history, and I know people always ask the question, you need to maintain higher standards. But in Spurs' history, since 1961, when we won the double, every trophy Tottenham have won, we've never finished higher than 8th, apparently. Someone told me that. I don't know if that's completely true.
I have to check,
but I believe it's true. It is true because I've checked the last couple. So on the Ramos, we finished 11th. FA Cup, we finished 8th, I think, or 10th. The other League Cup win was 10th.
Is that 91?
Yeah, 91,
right?
we finished 10th. Yeah. So we don't finish in high positions when we win trophies. And that's Tottenham Hotspur, full stop. Now, like you said earlier, do we have to think as a club where we are and where we're really at?
Well, what I'm trying to say is, because I've partly accepted that Levy is not going to go anytime soon. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll go tomorrow. Maybe something's going on. I have no idea. Because I know some people have conspiracies about the statement had no one signing at the end or something. I don't know. Yeah. But assuming he's going to stay, which is more than likely, I think we have to accept that we need to bring in a manager that can work with a budget that gets given and the kind of place he gets given.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why someone like Redknapp worked, because he bought like cheaper players. Poch worked because he could develop an upskill.
Okay, so my question
is right, and then he had Martin Yole, who gave the young players like basically first team chances every time, and he built like a team. Yeah.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You've just mentioned 3 managers who good times. All were aiming for top 4. So that's what you want now. You're done with trophies. You just want top 4.
No. I want both. So.
But you can't have. I'm sitting there saying you're under Daniel Levy, under this ownership. You're not going to get both. You've clearly seen the 2 trophies we've won. We nearly got relegated with Ramos, and we finished 17th with Ange. So I'm asking you the question: what do you want?
You could argue I've given up on Tottenham, like setting Frank, if you want to put it that way, because I've said I'm going with a manager that works within a budget, just for the sake of the fact that we have a certain transfer policy that is not going to change. I don't think.
So if Ange was to finish, say he finished 13th this year and won the trophy, would you have accepted him to stay?
More likely, yeah.
So the question then becomes, what are your expectations now for Tottenham Hotspur?
Do you mean in general, or do you mean
in next season and in general? Because what you're asking for statistically has never happened. So everyone wants to throw statistics out when it comes to Ange, but statistically, what you're asking for has never happened. So where do we go? So if you're asking, are you now, because what you've said through the whole of this statement, from what you've been talking to me about, you mentioned Martin Yole thing, you're now doing exactly, or wanting exactly what Levy wants, which is, for someone who's Levy out, you can see where my mind's getting a bit twisted and confused.
What I'm trying to say is, I actually fear relegation if Ange stayed. I'm not joking here, by the way, because like I tried to explain to you, if we start the season the same way we ended it, we're in big trouble. Like,
I don't think we would though. I think we'd go. So for me, how I looked at it was, you have to look at up until Ipswich, you have to look at what the form was like.
Yeah, but you can't just spin off and forget the rest of the other games happen.
No.
I went to a lot of the games.
Yeah, I know, but I'm looking at it going, yes, then the injuries happened, but you're playing Archie Gray at centre back. They didn't really give him another centre back until late January, where Danso came in, and we won. But for me, I'm looking at, I think if he goes and plays the back 5 that he loves in the Premier League, I think we go back to the form that we had at the beginning of the season, where it's win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. I'm not saying it would be like dramatic, amazing, but we're not going to get relegated with it, are we? That's my fear. We'll finish mid-table. We'll do exactly. Do you know who we'll do? I guess. No, you know who we'll do? We'll do exactly what Brentford done this season. Because that's exactly what Brentford did. Yeah, that's exactly what Brentford did. And then they had a great home record, terrible away, and then they switched it.
What do you mean? Oh, it turned over.
And they turned it.
But then again, the difference is, though, we were in Brentford and us, though, is Brentford spend what, like 30 million net, and then Ange spent what, 230 or 300 million on these players. It'll be more obviously after a summer, but we're talking massive amounts of money on players that he's openly said he accepted.
I do agree. I'm not going to deny that. But he won. He won the trophy with those players, though.
Yeah, I guess. But you have to take into consideration also what we were favourites for that trophy along with United, and
You
also
know,
the
but we were only
closest
favourites
teams we
because
played were not that
yeah,
great.
no,
Like,
we were only favourites at the beginning of the season when because we finished fifth and had our league position. No one expected that what happened in the middle of the season to happen, and we kind of fell off a little bit. But they're always going to keep us favourites because they just didn't know. But Manchester United and Spurs were only favourites in the Europa League because of their history and where they finished. No other reason. Because we finished fifth last year. This is what we need to understand. We finished fifth. We were what
what?
if we
Yeah,
if we'd beat City instead of throwing it away, we would have been in the Champions League.
but then
But
you say that if we were in the Champions League, do you think we would have been battered every week?
of
Probably.
course, with the squad that
Or
he was
it might have been
given,
even worse. It
we
might
would
actually
have
been
been
even
worse.
worse. I
But
think
he
about it.
though he said something which I did believe in because I remember watching Celtic. How he played in cup competitions up at Celtic was different to how he played
Mm.
in the league, and it was very similar to what we saw throughout the Europa League stage because we weren't
Yeah,
very
but
so
why
we weren't
can't you
very
not
attacking in
implement
the
some of that?
yeah we were
Why
never
can't you
that
implement
attacking.
some of that stuff even like 30 minutes in a game? Like,
Do you know what? I'll be honest because he was learning on the job. He was.
Beast Fit,
Yeah.
like he's everyone sold him as this experienced manager. Like, I just don't get it. That's what I mean. If it was a younger manager, I'd have more sympathy in that respect. But
Yeah.
the guy is
He
only
was
57.
yeah, but the excuse that everyone was the excuse the bit where everyone goes he needs to manage a top
The
club, he
high
needs to
level.
manage better legs
Yeah.
and higher level. Well, he's obviously going to be
Mm.
learning, and I think he got some harsh lessons this year. He did, but
A lot of
we
false
are
lessons, unfortunately.
we are where we are. Look, has thank
What
you
I'm
for
trying to say
coming
is,
on.
in
Yeah,
accepting Frank, I'm basically accepting that I've given up on Tottenham in the sense that, like,
don't be moaning
Levy
next
won't
season
go.
though. Don't be moaning next
Huh?
season, at the manager. Don't be moaning next season. I
I
don't want to see
won't,
what I don't
because
see what
we
I
need
don't want to see him
sort of
moaning.
stability. That's why I want Frank. Then.
Has no, thanks for
That's
coming
all
on,
right.
mate.
All right, take
Thanks for
care,
coming
man.
on. But yeah, make sure you tell people your channel before you go. What you
Yeah,
got?
please go subscribe to Spurs TV. I actually have got a video as a me reacting to like him leaving. Quite a happy video, probably. Maybe not for some people, but I was quite happy to be honest. Yeah.
But
Um,
obviously, I ain't spoke to you for ages, but we'll have to
yeah.
catch up soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Take care, mate.
All right,
All right.
take care.
Bye, bye, bye.
Eugene,
Man, what's up, Marlon?
you okay?
Man, I'm fuming to be honest.
Okay,
Haz is my guy, but man,
let's. But he's. Do you know what? With him, I knew he's wanted Ange out from
I
time,
know.
and there was no he for him. He stuck by his guns. Like so, I have to give him respect for that. Like for me, I changed. I totally admitted I changed. But okay, let's talk about the sacking first. How are you feeling?
Well, first reaction, I expected it, I guess, but I'm a bit sad. Just, for sentimental reasons for Ange. It'd be nice in the perfect world to see how the next season plays out. Um, I did say that he's not the guy for us, so I'm fuming not even that Ange was sacked. It's just all the rumors about Thomas Frank and potential, I don't know, Silva. Like, this is doing me in. All the people who are edged out, which is cool, and also the statement from the club have some self awareness when they said we want to compete on multiple fronts. When was the last time we competed on multiple fronts? So all the people are saying, oh, I won top four and a trophy. Like, we're not
It's
Man
quite funny.
United.
Do you know what's
It
quite funny? Because I heard someone say the other
doing
day
my head
that
in.
we got to the Champions League final and finished fourth. But if I remember correctly, from February we dropped off
Oh yeah,
dramatically,
our league was terrible.
terrible, and
We,
I think we didn't win that many games after that, and
we
we
didn't
got to the
win.
final.
We didn't win, I believe, an away game for
Game,
like 12
yeah.
months.
And I was like, well, that's not competing on all fronts. But if you're going with that narrative, you go with that narrative. Suit
And
yourself.
even then, there was Poch. I mean, we got lucky against Ajax. I mean, and
It
how
should have
long
been
ago
out.
was that?
Yeah.
So all that nonsense about that we need to compete in all fronts when last summer we cut our wage bill and the only player to improve our starting 11 was Solanke, who's not even, who's an average striker, or he's decent, but he's not a top striker. So all these expectations from the fans and the club is doing my head in. Like, so I'm all for sacking Ange. If Glasner is coming in, I'm like, you know what, cool. We got a proven winner. He won with Palace. He won in Germany. At least I can see that. Fine. But now, if we're gonna bring in Thomas Frank, all the people who are saying that Ange is a yes man, Thomas Frank would be the definition of a yes man, a mid-table manager to come in to develop our youth, which is cool. I'm all for developing youth. Thomas Frank is a good coach. But if we're being told that this is, the watershed moment in the club, this is the most important season, we're in the Champions League, we need to move on, and we bring in a mid-table manager without any winning experience, how is this kicking on? Why are we the team to give all these managers chances and opportunities? If this is as important as everybody says, either you keep Ange and you see what happens, or bring in a manager with a proven record of winning, back him, sign some players, and compete. We're
Okay.
not getting anybody. Like everybody around us are making signings. Thomas Frank is going to come in. We're going to give him two loans. We're going to give him Matisse Tell. We're going to give him some 19-year-old kid from Norway or whatever he's from. And like, that's it. So then we're going to be fighting for top eight. And all the edge out people are going to be saying, oh, but we're doing better in the league,
No, no,
which
no,
is
no,
for
no,
me,
no, no, no. They won't.
it's,
They won't. I won't because it'll come. It'll come. I tell you now. It'll come to half. If we're eighth and we're not, we're still like winning and losing games. They're still going to moan. I tell you this now. They're going to moan.
it, it's going to be like if a new manager comes in and loses first like 4 out of 10 games, it's going to be a civil war. I mean, it's going to be it's going to be mental. So I understand that keeping Ange was a risk, but then hiring somebody like Frank is also a big risk.
Of course,
So
but
again,
but are Spurs looking at the risk going if it is Thomas Frank, and we'll get to who you want to come on
yeah,
in a second. But if it is Thomas Frank, are people looking at it going, well, look, Poch was at Southampton and Espanyol, and he hadn't achieved anything. He probably achieved the same as Frank. I think he got eighth the year he finished with Southampton. So and Frank got 10th. Was it this year? I don't even. Hold on. I'll get the right place that Brentford finished. But yeah, they finished 10th. Are people looking at it going, well, he could do a potch with us because he's going to be surrounded with a better squad and hopefully better players, even though Mbuemo and Fisa was probably better than anything we've got.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, Poch. I mean, to be fair, Poch played some amazing football, and when he came in, we gave him some talent. I mean, we had, a couple of years in, we had the best starting 11 in the league
Yeah.
compared to what we have right now. So again, it's it's just for us to compete, regardless of the manager. It has to be on the players. We need a deep enough squad. We need experienced players. So, I mean, Ange hasn't helped himself with the league form. It was shocking. I get it. But my main thing is look, when a new manager comes in, it takes a while for him to figure out his best team to bring players in, right? It takes a while to understand what the issues at the club are. And it takes usually more than one season. But this is our Champions League season. A year from now, we probably will not be in the Champions League. So if this season is going to be wasted on a new manager trying to figure out who his players are, who the best team is this what we want, right?
So
How can this be our like
it
super
is,
important season
but
while
I think,
we're
yeah,
trying to figure things out?
but I think that's what people want. They just were so sick and tired of Ange that they were done. Look, 22 league defeats is always going to be the thing that everyone brings up.
Yeah, for sure.
But obviously, yeah, I do look at I do look in isolation a little bit and just say, um, but you have to include the Europa League in that campaign as well. You have to include both. You can't have one without the other. And this is where you get blurred lines because he's delivered the trophy, but the league form was crap. The league form was probably his bad. And he has said in the statements but before, your league position is a true reflection of where you are as a team and as a squad. But for me, does the cup when you've won a cup, does that not give you extra time? Does that not save you? Like, look,
Right.
let's talk about. I know everyone's comparing it to Ten Hag, but Manchester United are a
It's a
circus.
different team. That's a different animal.
Yeah,
They have different
and
expectations.
so and their board is all over the place. hardballs all over the place. So where do we go from here? So for me, my next question to you is: now that he's gone, I know the dust has got to settle. Who's your next manager? Who do you want to come in? Because obviously you don't want Thomas Frank. I can clearly see that. That's not the manager for you. Who do you want to come in?
And it's nothing personal against Frank. He's a good coach, right? But my thing is that there are a lot of great coaches who are not great managers who just cannot make that step up. Is he one of them? Is he going to be Eddie Howe or Poch? Possibly, right? For me, let's say if we bring in Glasner, we get Eze, we get a six, let's say Ederson or whoever, right? It's like, okay, you know what? Sacking Ange makes sense. I can see some thought process from the board. We're kicking on. At that point, I'll be like, Levy or the board, fair play, makes sense, right? Because at least it shows us a plan. Now, if we
Yeah,
get Silva or Frank or Iriola, another mid-table manager with no success of winning, we sign Tell, we sign a couple more kids, it's going to be obvious what we're doing. We're just developing kids. It's a youth project. You know, it's another project.
yeah,
So what's the point of talking about competing on multiple fronts? Have being in the Champions League, like to me, that would not add up. So it just depends what we do next. All the signs are pointing to us doing what we've always done, right?
yeah.
The track record is there. And that's why I'm fuming right now, because I just don't see the board making the right move and spending money.
Okay,
When I
so
see
what's
all the teams around us signing players, United, who are in the mud, are signing players because it's all about the wages, right? And we are doing nothing. So I'm like, what is the plan? I just don't see a plan in this club. And that's what's just making me upset.
what's the remit for next season then? New manager comes in. What's he got to do?
Um, Obviously, we're not.
I
Well,
asked that question. Yeah.
yeah. So that's the question for all the end outers. Like, what's your success? For me, I was clear for a long time. For me, a single trophy is amazing, but I want to see sustained success, right?
So,
Year over
so
year over year.
for you next season, if a manager comes in, he's got to win a trophy. Is that what you're saying? The FA
No,
Cup or the
no,
League
no.
Cup?
That's not possible. Like we cannot win trophies, obviously. But I want to see us improve. Like the issue is if a manager comes in, if I see a plan from that manager, like you know what, we're improving. I can see a path forward where I can see how we're gonna end up competing year in and year out.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I just want to see a plan.
Okay.
So, for example, if the next manager, if finishing top five, that's fine. But for me, it's not even on the manager. For me, I want to see a club making a decision to compete. It doesn't matter who the man, right? Like, well, it doesn't matter who the manager is. They're gonna come in, and I don't think much is gonna change unless the club actually becomes serious. So for me, it's not specifically what a manager does. For me, it's what the club as a whole does,
Okay.
and whether the board is going to put us in the position to compete year in year out, regardless of who the manager is. So I want to see first team signings, even if it's Frank. If Frank comes in and we sign as a Douglas Luiz and somebody else, I'm like, okay, cool. You know what? At least I can see what we're trying to do. So that so I can tell you, oh, it has to be a trophy or it has to be top four, top six. I don't have these like rigid, you know, like expectations. What's a success? What's a failure? I'm gonna know it when I see it, right?
Yeah.
It- but I just want to see the club progress on the pitch and off the pitch. And if I feel like we're going in the right directions with who we're bringing in, with the recruitment, and with the tactics, of course, I'll be okay, even if we finish like in seventh or eighth. I'm like, okay, at least I see a plan for us. If that makes
You,
sense. I don't
yeah.
know. I was rambling, but
It
it,
does make sense. It does make
it's a
sense.
tough one.
Yeah. Eugene, thank you for coming on. I better
All
bring
right,
out our
Marlon.
next guest
Always a
before he
pleasure, man.
slides
Appreciate
off.
it.
But look, we're here now. Let's see what happens.
Let's see, man. Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment supporting Tottenham.
All right. Become a
Cheers,
friend.
later.
Cheers.
Mark, long time no speak.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Still recovering from that night in Bilbao. I never went. I went to the stadium, but yeah, it was a great night, mate.
So come on, what's your reaction to Ange?
I'm not surprised. I think the decision was made a while ago.
Yeah.
Regardless of the Europa League, it was a shootout between us and Man United, and obviously we got the job done. But I'm not too surprised. In a way, I'm quite happy with it because if he would have gone in next season, lost his first 6 games as manager, he would have tarnished his legacy. He's kind of left on a high note. Maybe not personally for him,
Yeah.
but just in general. I think it's come at the right time. Ironically, it was 2 years exactly since we made him manager.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for the club going forwards, the league form just hasn't been good enough. He's got 78 points from 66 games, which is criminal, especially with the players we've got there. I know he's had his fair share of injuries and stuff, and there's a few excuses we can make, but it's the right time to move on, I think. Kind of gutted it's at a time now where there's not very many good managers that are out there for us to go and get. So with Levy having a clear out of Ryan Mason, Donna Cullen, I hope he's cooking something serious to show that we are actually serious about the football and not just
Another project that's failed to him. Because let's be honest, he sacked the manager after 2 years, and now we're back to was meant to be the new start. If Lange goes as well, did he make a massive mistake again?
Well, yeah, he has, and I think ultimately Levy does have. It's going to sound quite weird, this, but he kind of he's a big Spurs fan. He kind of like knows that he ain't good enough, and I think that now he's got to show everyone. Now we've won a major European trophy. Now he's got to push us on, so we're going to be in them positions like in the next few seasons. Maybe not in the Europa League or the Champions League. I'm not going to say, we need a manager to take us to the Champions League final next year. We're not going to get that. There's no manager out there in this world that can take this group of players to something massive next season. We might be able to get to a League Cup, maybe a good run in the FA Cup. But all I want to see is a consistent Spurs. I don't want to see a Spurs that, all right, we done okay in Europe. Like obviously going away and losing to Galatasaray weren't too good. But I don't want to see a Spurs where the league form's just shocking and we're losing to Everton and we're losing to Ipswich and we're losing to these teams that are coming up. I don't want to see that. I want to see next season. I want to see Spurs compete in the league, whether we're in and around 6th place, because that's where I think we're at with the players we've got. I want to see us sign someone like Eze, like a statement signing to say, like, hold on a minute, this is where we're going. This is the direction. Sorry, but ultimately, it looks like Thomas Frank's going to be manager. I don't know about him really. I don't know, because someone said earlier, and they made a good point, that Liverpool took Swansea's manager under Brendan Rodgers and become good. Chelsea took Leicester's manager and become good. Man United took Moyes off Everton, and well, he never done too great there. But I'm just saying that fishing for managers at the teams at the bottom end of the table. I know we were there as well, but we're a big club.
So the comparison, if there's going to be one, will be the comparison to Poch.
Yeah, Poch as well. Yeah, obviously we took him from Southampton. Look, I like Thomas Frank. I like the way he works. I've seen plenty of videos of how he conducts himself behind the scenes, how he gets all his staff in there, continuous meetings about tactics. His analysis of the game is very good. He's a very good tactician. And ultimately, I think that's what we need. Ange kind of stuck with his way of football in every single game last season, and it burnt a few players out, like the likes of Udogie, who got a hamstring injury, Van der Ven, who kept getting his hamstrings injured. A lot of injuries were muscular injuries from being too up and down the pitch, counter-attacking, and
yeah.
I just want someone to come in and stabilise the footballing side of things. Ultimately, we can't. None of like what we talk about now, when everyone who's watching and writing their stuff in the chat, nothing we say is going to change what Spurs do. Spurs have a plan now. obviously they wouldn't have sacked Ange today. We have a plan. I know he's had plenty of meetings with Thomas Frank, and it looks like he's going that way. I think he's.
Do you trust the plan, though? You're saying we've got a plan. Do you trust the plan?
No, I don't trust the plan. I'll tell you why I don't trust the plan is because we've had all these plans. We've had Poch come in for 7 years and won nothing, and then we thought, all right, okay, we'll get Jose Mourinho in. We bombed Poch off with how we got our club going, the togetherness, like the fans adored Poch. The way he sacked him was a joke. That was just that wasn't a plan because he sacked him on a night and got Mourinho in the next morning. He just thought, right, this needs to change. Going to get a serial winner in. Got Mourinho in, it failed. Got Nuno in, failed. Got Conte in, failed. Got Ange in, and do you know what? It has failed.
So on that note, because I know this is where there's blurred lines between whether it's failed with Ange or not. With the fan side of things, I'd say it hasn't failed because he delivered the trophy. But the fact that Levy has sacked him today, Levy's telling us he failed. His project failed.
He is, and that's what he said. He said it's a performance review. He reviewed his performance as manager, and even Ange said you're only as good as you are in the league.
Yeah.
So,
but do you get a pass a little bit when you do deliver?
Look,
probably
ultimately,
biggest trophy, the third biggest trophy that you can win.
Look at it from this way, yeah. Look at it from this way. If you stripped everything back and forgot about all the how many points he got in how many games, Ange had 2 seasons and delivered 1 major European trophy.
Yeah. So on that quickly, sorry. Which season would you be more accepting? Last year, his first season, or his second season? Because one is finished 5th, and one is finished 17th with a trophy.
See, as a Spurs fan, if you look at it, a trophy, like dismissive of the season we've just had, he's actually took us to a major. This ain't no just League Cup. This ain't no Community Shield. This ain't no. This is a major trophy. I know it's like everyone says, oh yeah, it's the BTEC Champions League, and I hear a lot of noise from the South London club that call themselves the North London Reds, whatever they call themselves nowadays. But a couple of years ago, they got to a final against Chelsea, and they were like, oh my god, this is so big, this is so big. And when they lost to Chelsea, they were like, oh, well, it ain't that big anyway. But don't take away what Ange has done. Ange, I think he took the foot off the gas in the league when he knew we weren't going to be relegated.
Which was you can't.
It was the right thing to do.
It was the right thing.
It was the right thing to do in the end because ultimately we won, and we won the trophy. So I'm not going to sit here and criticise Ange and mug him off because ultimately he was a good bloke. He did bring a togetherness back to Tottenham, which kind of like faded over the last couple of years with Conte. He was being a bit negative. Ange was always like positive. He always stuck to his guns. He put people like Bergvall. He put people like Archie Gray, and I know he had to because he was very limited with the resources he had. Mm-hmm. But we look upon these players now like Bergvall. Bergvall for me starts next season. I love him. I think he's a great player. He wouldn't have had that opportunity if it weren't for Ange.
Yeah, but a new manager could come in and go, okay, I've got Basuma and Bentancur.
Basuma should go. Basuma should go.
But you don't know if the next manager is going to come in and they're going to like a person like Basuma. Because for everyone now, it's a level. We've got the history.
Yeah, of course.
It's the level playing field for everyone.
I get that, but I think the club are going to be in charge of who we sign and who we sell. I don't think he's going to leave it down to the manager because, like, think about it. A decision is going to be made next.
Isn't that the whole reason why managers get in a situation like Ange has done, where you're buying and selling for them, and some players don't fit their system?
Well,
I guess sometimes it has to work, but
a
manager needs to be able to trust that these players are going to be able to play the system.
I agree with that. But then Thomas Frank's a yes man. He's got Brentford into he stabilised Brentford from the lowest budget the Premier League has seen in.
Why does everybody think Thomas Frank's a yes man? Because
no, look. I'm not saying he's a yes man. I'm just saying he's happy to accept the fact that he ain't got a budget at Brentford. They sold Ivan Toney 50 million. They didn't really reinvest it. They brought a couple of players. Nothing major. I think it's going to be Thomas Frank purely because Brentford are selling Mbeumo to Man United, and I think he's run his course at Brentford. And do you know what? I'm not against him becoming manager. He isn't my number one choice.
Who would your number one choice be actually?
If it was down to me, I would be looking at Xavi or Glasner.
Glasner ain't coming in.
I know he ain't. That's who I'll be looking at.
Well,
I'll be looking at Xavi and Glasner.
Yeah, we're debating over compensation fee for bloody for Thomas Frank at the moment, which is I believe
10
8 million.
10 million.
8 to 10 million, yeah. And we've had to pay off Ange 4, so that's 14 million out of the budget. Glasner's going to be more than that.
Yeah, maybe so. But then at the end of the day, you got to think Palace are in the mud with the European thing because their owner co-owns another club, and they might not be able to play in the Europa League next season.
Yeah,
so,
they can't compete in both because of Bromby and is it Leon?
Yeah, Leon. Yeah, Leon. Well, it's mainly Leon, but
no, because because the solution was to demote them to the Conference League and let Forest take their place.
Yeah,
but because their other owner, their other director, owns Bromby.
Right.
So they're screwed. So they're screwed both ways. But the problem is, and this is where I think UEFA kind of messed up the lines. I know we're going off topic a little bit, but with Palace, because you have to let them know by the 1st of March. And do you remember that Nottingham Forest's chairman, when he thought they were qualifying for the Champions League, resigned from the board?
Yeah, Olympiacos, wasn't it?
So he resigned from Nottingham Forest's board.
Oh yeah, he did. Yes, he did. Yeah, and they've missed the deadline, and they reckon if Palace don't. If UEFA don't let them in, Brighton, who are their big rivals,
that'll be the biggest. Yeah, that'll be chaos.
And do you know what? This is why it's the right time to go for someone like Eze. It is like Eze should be a club signing. Eze should be who the club want because he's homegrown, full England international, absolutely amazing last season, absolutely amazing the season.
Hold on. He didn't have the best. He had the best end to the season.
Yeah,
he started off so slowly.
Yeah, but so did Dembele for Paris Saint-Germain, and he's favourite to win the Ballon d'Or. He didn't score in his first 7 games. So.
Yeah, he ain't winning that.
No. Well, I reckon he's the favourite. You mean Yamal's obviously second favourite.
Yeah, no.
Going back to Tottenham, Xavi. The reason why I would choose someone like Xavi is because he's a big name. He would attract players. He was Barcelona manager and they won the league when they obviously lost like the players like Messi and stuff. I know they signed Rafinha, but they signed Rafinha from Leeds, who were relegated from the Premier League, and that was a gamble. I know they got Lewandowski and I know they got someone else. But when you're a club like Barcelona and all the pressure's on you, Messi's gone, Suarez has gone, Neymar's gone, and he managed to win them the league, I think there's something to him. And I think, obviously, someone like Xavi was a footballer that wasn't quick, wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it. He always fought, so he's obviously got a good football brain to him. Do you know what I mean? Like he was the glue to Barcelona. He was like he was their brain. Let's just say. So obviously, someone like him, Glasner's got a really good CV, and I think he's kind of earned his stripes. But the thing is with Thomas Frank, like I wouldn't be against it, but I haven't seen a side to Thomas Frank where he's kind of got like that bit in the teeth to manage a big club like Spurs. Like,
so what would his remit if it is Thomas Frank? What is his remit for next season? What is he being told? Because
if next season's going to be like one of them ones where it's going to be like we're going to be playing a lot of Sundays because of Champions League football. Obviously, Champions League football shoes. We potentially going to be playing against the teams like Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Arsenal. We're going to be playing against big teams. Now, I think that Levy in his head will think, well, you're probably good enough to get through the first phase into like the knockout rounds of Champions League, which we're not. Kind of similar to what Villa done this year. I don't think we're anywhere near that level.
We're not even near Villa's level at the moment.
No. Look, listen. Like, I'm not being funny. Like, when we had a full squad this season, I've seen us bash Villa 4-1. Like,
but and this is where I'm going to take a but. That game that we battered Villa, they rotated.
Yeah, of course.
They had a big game against Bayern Munich,
and this is what we've got. And this is what I was about to say to you. We're going to have to rotate to play the Champions League, but then we're going to still have to be consistent in the league to try and maybe. I don't think we're going to go for the top 4. We need to try and get into Europe next season. That's going to be the base. It's going to be like look, you've got a free at the Champions League. We'll sign some players off. Well, hopefully we sign some players. We need to sign some players if we want to be serious about even competing in the Champions League, as we're going to get embarrassed by the teams like Copenhagen and all that. But you're still going to need to compete in the Champions League, but you're still going to need to compete in the league. And even if it's the Conference League, even if it's the Europa League, We're not going to get top 4 next season. The big boys are going to be spending all their money. United are going to come good again because they're going to make some very good signings. We just whoever we get in just needs to get the club winning games again consistently. Not win 1, lose 3, win 1, lose 4, draw 1, lose 4, win 1. It needs to be a win a lot of the time.
So, what's his remit then? What's your minimum expectations for the new manager? Since this one just won the Europa League.
It honestly depends. Like, we're not going to win anything next season, in my opinion. Like, Champions League is going to be a lot of the focus on that because that's what's going to generate the money. You're on the big stage in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Premier League, you've got 38 games to avoid relegation. I'm pretty sure we'll be all right next season. I think, honestly, if we can do well in the Champions League and kind of compete and get a buzz around Tottenham again, finish in the top 10 and maybe go for a League Cup. That's what I think that we should be trying to do next season. Just because we've won the Europa League.
Is that a better season than this one?
No, because we haven't won a major honour and we will not win. I promise you now, no matter what manner, you can save this video. We are not going to win a major honour next season. Like, we're not. It's not going to happen. If is an FA Cup a major honour, would you say?
Yeah,
I think it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but any trophy that the top level teams have to compete in is a major trophy.
Fine, but then we've also got to remember in the FA Cup we've got Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, all these teams in it as well. Like, for me, we could get lucky in the FA Cup.
Hold on, we played them teams this year in the League Cup and still managed to get through. It was Liverpool in the second leg that really killed us.
I know that, and I know the team we played at Anfield and stuff, blah blah blah. But we need to get over the line in them games. Like, it's all good winning the first leg 1-0 and everyone's like, oh my god, we're amazing, we could actually get to this, and then we get bashed 4-0. Like,
it was by the champions elect.
Look, all right, okay. We need a mass overhaul. We need to, like, for me personally, we need to let Son go on a high. Same thing with Ange. Let him go. Don't let him tarnish his legacy by trying to. I know his numbers were okay this year, but he still ain't the player that we've seen at Spurs. I'll try and get as much money as I can now for Son, Richarlison, Bissouma.
You're selling half our team, man.
Yeah, and I think we should do that because if we're so if we sold Bissouma and got Douglas Luiz, would you take that? Yes, I would.
Are these players going to come though? Because we did finish 17th.
True, but we've got Champions League football.
Doesn't matter. We're only going to have it for a year because you look at it, and Thomas Frank is your manager, and they're going to look at it and go, "Well, we're not going to qualify next year, are we?"
Yeah, maybe so. But then we're linked with players like Xavi Simons, good player, plays at the highest level. Eze's a.
So, yeah. I'm looking at it like, oh, he's gone. Is he gone?
Eze,
yeah.
Sorry. Oh.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Eze's a statement signing, so yeah.
That's if we go and sign Eze, but if you look at...
Oh.
It keeps going. You there?
I don't know what's going on with my signal.
I can hear you. Don't worry, I can hear you, but I can't see you. Don't worry. It's fine. The problem you've got is that these Champions League football is not going to be the reason why these players come, and he's gone. I'm going to say thank you to everyone that's joined us tonight. Look, please leave your comments on what you think our next shift will be with Big Ange now that he's gone. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it at the moment. But look, please make sure you stay. Look, Ash is back on Wednesday with the rival show, so it will be interesting to see what he does. I literally had to do a pop-up because big statement today with Ange and everything that's happened. But as normal, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment when you come across this video. And please tell me the 3 questions I've got to ask everybody, and I'll probably put this in the thing. Are you happy Ange was sacked? Who do you want the next manager to be? And what is the remit for next season? Those are my 3 questions. And I'm just going to leave. This is probably the comment that I like the most. Thank you, Stefan. But what manager is going to come in and try and win a trophy now when they know they're getting the ultimately won't save their job? Will be out of all the cups by in January. Pathetic. But as always, please like, subscribe, and comment. And come on, you Spurs.